Okay, so today we're doing Java 3, lesson 7. And today what we're doing is math class. So by math class, I don't mean math classes in like mathematics. I mean something called a math class in Java. And before, you've already seen this before, and that's when we used math.random, which is like generating random numbers, if you remember. And so today is kind of like a more thorough introduction to it, or not introduction, but like more information on it, so that you know exactly what this math class can do. So back when we were still we were doing math at random, you didn't know about methods in classes yet, so you wouldn't have known it's math class. Except I think I did mention it, but you wouldn't have known then. And so now I'm just gonna say that. So the math class is a class that contains many useful methods for math-related programming. So the math class is kind of like one of those built-in classes for Java, where it's already built in for you. You don't have to import it. You can just use it without importing. And again, it contains a lot of useful methods, and I have like examples of it later, so you'll see then. And also, including methods, it also contains constants. Actually, you probably don't understand this yet, but you'll understand later. But it contains values as well. So as you can see down here, the program for getting pi, and this stores the closest value to pi Java can get, and you would use this command to get pi. So you can use methods in this class, but you can also get values that are hard to get otherwise. With Java, you can just do this, and then you'll get pi, basically. So yeah, and also another value you could get, and this is for getting the value e. And if you haven't gone to Algebra 2 yet, then you're not going to understand what e is, but you'll understand later. And if you ever wanted to use something like this, the e, then you do something like math.e. And of course, this stores the closest value to e that Java can get. So other methods of math class, those weren't really methods, but they're commands. So these are the methods I said that you could use. And so the first one you can see that is something called abs, and that's short for abstract. Sorry, not abstract, absolute. And so you can see that I wrote these methods in the form of when I went over array lists and lists. This is the same format. So if you understand how to interpret that one, those methods, then you can also interpret these methods. And these are also on the Java library. So if you go there, you'll see it in this format as well, and you'll see this information there. So for the first one, we have a static method, and what this is, so it has a return type integer, and this is the name, and then one of the parameters is an integer x. So what this method does, it returns the absolute value of an integer x. And I don't know if you guys understand what absolute value is. They teach it in pre-alg, so if you've gone to pre-alg, then you should know. But it returns basically how far an integer is from 0. That's what absolute value is. Anyways, so the next one is another static method, and its name is also ABS. But notice here that these two methods are different in the fact that they have different parameters. And again, that's why it's allowed, since it has different parameters. And you can see here that it also has a return value of a double. So this returns the absolute value of a double x. So again, it's basically going to return how far a number is from 0. And it's basically the same as this first one, except that this one does doubles instead. This next one, again, returns a double. It takes in a double base and a double exp. So the name of this is POW, so POW, but this is actually short for powers. So this would be for exponents. So again, you would learn this in pre-alg. So if you go into pre-alg, you would know. But this returns the double base, so this, raised to the double exp, so this. And that's how you would do powers. Since if you remember before that whenever we wanted to do powers, like multiplying numbers by each other, then we would have to do a lot of numbers and then with multiplication signs between them. But now if you use this method, then you could just write the single line and you'll get the answer. Next one, which is the last one that I'm going to go over. And this is something called SQRT. And this is short for square root. So this is how you do square root. And it has a double return type and a double x as a parameter. And this returns the square root of double x. So again, forgot where you go through this, but it should also be in pre-alg. But yeah, these are just some of the methods that you can use. There's of course a lot of different methods that you can use, and you can go search those up as well on the Java library. Stuff that includes, you can search up there, is like rounding, stuff like that. Other math methods. Basically all of the math computating methods and values you're going to find in the math class. So math.pal, notable examples. Just wanted to bring this to your attention so that you understand some different possible outputs of different outcomes when you use the math.pal method. So again, notable examples of the math.pal method. First one here, you see that I have 0 and then negative 4.6. So with this one, if you remember, this first value is the base of what you want it to raise to a power, and this is the power that you want to raise it to. And just know that it returns infinity. And this next one, at this time we have negative 5.3 as the base, and then a 3.7 as the exponent. And this returns not a number. I mean, it returns NaN, but this is short for not a number. So just keep in mind that if I ever put this on determine the output problem, then make sure that you you know that what this will return, something like this. But yeah, just to make sure you understand. Okay. So examples of using these methods. So I just have print statements here, and inside these you can see me using absolute value, power, and square root. And this one I'm using the integer one. This is the double one, and powers and square root. And you can see here that this first one would output 23, 3.45, 3.45. This one would output 16 as a double, and this one would output 9.0. So it's kind of all basic math, except you're using methods to make your life a lot easier and to reduce having to use too much like other computation. It just makes things easier. Not that you couldn't do this before using regular methods, so like for loops and stuff. But again, methods just make it a lot easier and packages code for us so that we can use things more efficiently. And yeah, that would be it for this lesson. It's a short lesson, but it's, again, important background information. And so that if you're going to use math a lot in Java, most likely, So it's always good to know of these methods so that you don't have to waste time writing code that's already been written. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to put the class problems up in a second.